Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Tech, AI, and Beyond. Thank you so much for joining us today. In our last deep dive, we explored the blueprint for building sustainable cities. Well, today, we're going a layer deeper. We're going to tackle the very economic engine that builds and powers those cities. We're talking about the huge shift from our current linear disposable model to a truly circular one. It's about moving from a one-way street of consumption to a closed-loop system of regeneration. Let's get into it.
I want you to just let this sentence sink in for a moment, because it's really the foundation for our entire discussion today. It's this powerful, almost philosophical statement that cuts right to the heart of the problem with our current economic system. This whole concept of throwing something away. It's a convenient illusion we've all lived with for centuries. But as we're about to see, away is always somewhere. It's a landfill, it's the ocean, it's our atmosphere. This idea is going to be our guide as we break down the problem and build up a pretty revolutionary solution.
All right, so here's our roadmap for today. We're going to start by really dissecting the broken linear model that we're stuck in. Then we'll lay out the core principles of a circular economy. After that, we'll dive into 3 key pillars that make it all happen: design, business models, and finally closing the loop, before we wrap it all up with our key takeaways.
So let's start with the big question. Why is our current economic model so fundamentally unsustainable? Well, the answer lies in this take, make, dispose system that has really powered the industrial age. You can think of it as a one-way street that, by its very design, always ends in waste. The logic of this linear economy is honestly brutally simple. First, we take resources from the earth, we mine them, we chop them down, we drill for them, then we make them into products, and finally, we dispose of them when we're done. But what's really insidious here is hidden in that make phase, something called planned obsolescence. Products are often intentionally designed to fail, with glued-in batteries you can't replace and proprietary screws you can't open, forcing us to constantly buy the next new thing. It's a system designed for churn.
Now, to really grasp the staggering impact of that take phase, just look at this number. We are currently consuming resources at a rate of 175%. That's 1.75 times faster than our planet can regenerate them in a single year. To put that into perspective, it means we use up our entire annual budget of natural resources by sometime around early August, and for the rest of the year, we're basically going into ecological debt. It's the equivalent of borrowing prosperity from future generations with absolutely no intention of ever paying it back. This isn't just unsustainable. It's a mathematical certainty that this model has an expiration date.
And that brings us to the final spectacular failure of the linear model, that dispose phase. Remember, there is no magical away. Our waste has to go somewhere, and it's usually one of 3 places. It goes to landfills that generate potent methane gas and leach toxins into our soil and water, or it goes to incinerators that literally destroy the value of those materials while releasing pollutants. Or worst of all, it just leaks directly into the environment, like the endless tide of plastic that's choking our oceans.
50 million tons. That is the amount of electronic waste the world generates every single year. Just try to picture that for a second. It's an almost incomprehensible number. This includes all the smartphones, laptops, and televisions we just toss out. And the crucial point here is, this isn't just trash. It's a graveyard of incredibly precious materials, gold, cobalt, rare earth elements that we've invested immense energy to mine and refine in the first place. Our linear economy is like a fire hose, blasting a torrent of these valuable finite materials directly from the planet into a hole in the ground.
Okay, after that rather grim look at the linear model, you have to be asking, what's the alternative? Well, the answer is the circular economy, a system that is restorative and regenerative by design. And let me be clear, this isn't just about better recycling. This is a complete paradigm shift in how we think about production, consumption, and value itself. This right here is the first and most important principle, and honestly, it's a revolutionary idea. In the old model, waste is just an accepted, unavoidable cost of doing business. It's a byproduct. But in the circular economy, waste is seen as a fundamental failure of design. It means that an engineer sitting at their computer has to think about the end of a product's life before it's even been created. What materials are they choosing? Can the product be easily taken apart? The goal is to prevent waste from ever existing in the first place. The second principle is all about keeping products and the materials they're made of in use for as long as humanly possible. Think of it as a series of cascading loops where each one preserves value. The tightest, most valuable loop is simple maintenance and repair. The next loop out is reuse, then refurbishment, and only as a very last resort do we move to the final outermost loop, recycling.
The goal is to keep products circulating in those inner loops for as long as we can, preserving all the energy, labor, and materials that are embedded within them.
And this third principle is what really shows that the circular economy isn't just about being less bad, it's about being actively good. It's about moving from a degenerative model to a truly regenerative one. This really applies to the biological cycle, things like our food waste, cotton from our clothes, or wood products. Instead of ending up in a landfill producing methane, these materials should be returned to the earth through things like composting or anaerobic digestion. This process doesn't just avoid harm, it actively rebuilds natural capital by enriching our soil and improving biodiversity. Okay, so we have the principles. They sound great, but how do we actually put them into practice? Well, it all starts at the very beginning, at the drawing board. This first pillar, circular design, is the absolute front line in the war on waste. It's about fundamentally rethinking how we engineer the products that fill our lives.
For years now, products have become increasingly impossible to fix. I'm sure you've experienced it. Well, the right to repair movement is pushing back hard, demanding legislation that forces manufacturers to make their products repairable again. The core demands are actually pretty simple: access to spare parts, access to repair manuals, and access to the diagnostic tools needed to figure out what's wrong. It's simple. A repairable product is a circular product. Full stop.
So how do you actually design a repairable product? Well, one of the most powerful strategies is modular design. Instead of creating a sealed black box where one tiny broken part bricks the entire device, you design it like a set of building blocks, like Legos. The Fairphone is the poster child for this approach. It's literally designed so you can take it apart with a simple screwdriver. If your camera module breaks, or maybe a better one is released in a couple of years, you just order that single part and swap it out yourself. This dramatically extends the phone's useful life.
Now, designing for longevity isn't just an engineering challenge, it's a complete business philosophy. And no company embodies this more than Patagonia. On Black Friday, the absolute peak of consumerism, they ran this full-page ad in the New York Times with a completely startling message: "Don't buy this jacket." It was a radical plea for conscious consumption, basically asking customers to repair what they already own or to buy used instead. This single move cemented their brand identity and proved that sustainability could be a powerful and profitable market differentiator.
But here's the thing. This isn't just some clever marketing gimmick. It's deeply embedded in their business operations. Their Wornware program actually institutionalizes repair and reuse. Their ironclad guarantee means they will repair any piece of gear for free for life. And their trade-in program creates a whole marketplace where they clean, repair, and then resell old gear. This isn't charity. It creates an entirely new, profitable revenue stream while building a fiercely loyal community of customers who believe in the brand.
So this brings us to a really fascinating question. How can a company possibly make more money by selling fewer things? It seems counterintuitive, right? The answer lies in a transformative idea, shifting from selling products to selling access to the service that product provides. This is the core of circular business models. This model is called Product as a Service, or PaaS. So instead of selling you a light bulb, a company sells you guaranteed light. Instead of selling a tire, they sell you kilometers of driving. The key here, and this is the magic, is that this model completely flips the economic incentive on its head. When a manufacturer retains ownership of the product, every failure, every repair, every single bit of wasted energy is a cost to them. So suddenly, their profit becomes directly tied to making the most durable, the most efficient, and the most repairable product they possibly can.
And this isn't just some theory, it's happening right now. Signify sells lumens, not light fixtures, to massive clients like airports, which incentivizes them to maximize efficiency and lifespan. Michelin sells kilometers to trucking fleets, pushing them to design the most durable and retreadable tires possible. And for decades, Rolls-Royce has been selling power by the hour, not jet engines, using IoT sensors and predictive maintenance to ensure ultimate reliability. In every single one of these cases, the company's bottom line is directly aligned with the planet's well-being.
So we've designed for longevity, and we've created business models that support it. But what happens when a product truly, finally, reaches the end of its useful life? That's where our third and final pillar comes in, closing the loop through recycling. But this is not the recycling you might be thinking of. This is high-tech recycling, enabled by automation and advanced chemistry.
Yeah, it's really important to distinguish between two main approaches here. First, there's mechanical recycling. That's the shredding and melting we're all familiar with. The problem is, it often degrades the material quality in a process called downcycling. A plastic bottle rarely becomes another bottle. It becomes a park bench or a speed bump, which is really a dead end for that material. Chemical recycling, on the other hand, is a potential game changer. Using processes like pyrolysis, it can break polymers all the way down to their original molecular building blocks. This creates a feedstock that is identical to virgin material, enabling true, honest-to-goodness, closed-loop recycling.
And this shows how technology is solving one of the toughest recycling challenges out there, e-waste. Instead of just shredding a complex smartphone into a messy jumble of materials, Apple's Daisy robot takes a surgical approach. This specialized system can identify the specific iPhone model, and then it systematically disassembles it, component by component. It's the difference between using a sledgehammer and using a scalpel. It's brute force versus precision robotics.
And this surgical approach is absolutely crucial because it allows for incredibly high-purity material recovery. By precisely removing individual components, Daisy can isolate critical materials like cobalt from the batteries, tin from the logic boards, and those vital rare earth elements from the speakers and haptic engines. Recovering them at this level of quality allows Apple to feed them directly back into its own supply chain, truly closing the loop with some seriously advanced automation.
Wow. We have journeyed all the way from the broken take, make, dispose model to the actual blueprint for a functioning circular economy. So let's take a moment and distill all of this down to the key takeaways you should remember.
All right, here's what you need to remember. First, the linear economy is a dead end. It just is. Second, circularity isn't a fantasy. It's a practical and, importantly, profitable alternative. Third, it all starts with design. Design is the first and most critical step, treating waste as a flaw, not a given. Fourth, new business models can and do align profit with sustainability. And finally, advanced technologies like AI and robotics are going to be the key enablers that help us close the loop on a global scale.
You know, our exploration of this sustainable future is far from over. Next time, we're going inside the factory itself. We'll be doing a deep dive into the green factory, automation, and sustainable manufacturing, where we'll explore how AI and IoT are making the production process itself dramatically more sustainable. I really hope you'll join us for that one.
Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, please subscribe, like, and share. And don't forget to hit the bell for more from Tech AI and beyond.